Good day, YouTube. My name is Captain Darren. My amateur radio call sign is N4VFR. In today's video, I'm going to show you my assembly of this Mercury 3S kit from KM3KM Electronics. Disclaimer, I am not affiliated with Kenny Martinez Company, KM3KM Electronics. This is strictly my entertainment video for you guys, and I'm going to show you how I assemble this Mercury 3S amplifier. Also be warned that if you decide to follow this video, remember this is for entertainment purposes only, and you happen to destroy your amplifier, I take no responsibility. This is what I'm going to do, and I'll be using the assembly manual from his thumb drive that he provides to the kit. Some of the equipment that I'll be using is a soldering station. I have the anti-static mat, and also with the wrist strap for anti-static discharge. I got some snips, screwdrivers, couple of combination wrenches, multimeter, electrical tape. I'm not sure if I'm going to need it, and a manual. Kenny's manual recommends some of these special tools, and he says here you need a hex key Allen, a soldering iron with a wide tip, 120 watts or greater, and also utilize an anti-static wrist strap. And that's what I have here. So let's get assembling. It's getting hot in my Radio Shack, so I turn on the electric fan. You might hear the fan blades in the background. Anyway, step one is the antenna switchboard installation. In the manual, it shows you what it looks like. So let me find that. I'll be right back. Okay, I found the antenna switchboard. It was located in the accessory box and protected with the anti-static plastic. So I do have the ESD attached to me. So I'm going to set this back inside, set it aside, and open up the amplifier case to install that. One of these Allen heads came off, and it came off, I'll show you. I can put that together when it's time. So now the case is off, let's continue. They're saying here to remove the power unit and heatsink will provide room for installation of the antenna section of the amp on the rear of the chassis. I'm going to try to skip that for now. And I'm going to go to step 2, which is the antenna module board standoff placement. So I think these are the standoffs here. It's not labeled, but I'm just going to eyeball the size, what I need. It looks like I need 3 of them. So the smaller ones, these are 4. There's 3 of these, the middle size. And the other package, standoffs, these here, these are for the display, I think. Hardware display update guide. But obviously there's 4 of them in here, so I don't think that's the right one. So I'm taking it that these are the right ones. So I have 3 standoffs installed. So now it says the So239 and RCA placement. The So239 kit is right here. It comes in a package. And the RCA. So that's the next thing I'm going to do, step 3, to install those behind the amplifier. Okay, so what I found, this is a standard, I think it's a 1/4 inch. So this is a 1/4 inch wrench. I'll show it this way. I think it's a 1/4 inch. See? So that's what I'll use. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch. I just want to bring this to your attention. I installed the So239s incorrectly on my Mercury 3 amplifier kit. As you see here, I've installed it from the back side, from the outside of the chassis, and pushed them in. It's the other way around. I have to come from the inside and push it out. If you look in the back, you see that there's like a shield area, the metal. That's where it was supposed to make contact. So my shield is decreased because I installed it from the outside, where the paint, where it's painted black. So the only ground points I have are those 2 440 bolts, and that's the only ground that I have on the coax. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention for those that are planning to build this kit, and hopefully you learn from my mistakes. But with final testing and after speaking with KM3KM's company, they said if there's any kind of anomalies, I can contact them back and they can walk me through on certain steps to desolder the So239s and put it in the correct way. But for now, I will test it and see if there's any kind of problems. And if not, I will just leave it the way it is. For now, and remember, we don't want to over tighten. This thing is going to snap. Okay, so the RCA plugs are in. The wrench that I use is a size 10 on the metric, and I finger tighten it and then a little bit of snug with the wrench, so it's not moving. So that completes step 3. Step 4, install the case fan. Here's the case fan. What we're going to do, we're going to remove this, the protective grid, and we're going to put this on the outside and put the fan against the rear of the case. And there's an airflow pattern here. We want the airflow to be sucked out, push out all the hot air. But it doesn't tell me where I want to orient the cables. So I might just put it this way, so the cables are away from the on and off switch. Let's do that now. There. So you see, I have the power leads exiting to the left. I think that'll be fine. Let's move on to step 5. Okay, let's take a look. We're at step number 5 is we need to solder the input-output coaxes. What's that gonna entails is that I need to take the antenna module and mount it to the case. Just like that. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 bolts that I need to attach. There are 440 bolts. Let me find those. And once we have those 8 bolts attached, I'm going to solder the center conductors, the center here, 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 and also add RJ142 that goes right here from the LPF. So let me do that right now. That last one was hard. Wouldn't want to get on the post. I got my 1/4 inch wrench and just nice, snug and tight. Okay, now those are done. Now to solder the So239 center conductors. Now I'm going to connect the ALC and PTT. Connect that to the board. On the antenna module, there's a pad where we could attach the RG142. It's the 15.5 inch coax. It's right here. Center conductor and then the shield. It's a good thing that KM3 KM provided some solder, because I'm going to use a whole lot of it. I'm going to add some solder to the pad for the shielding, a whole lot of it. Okay, now for the RG142. This is where I wish I had a helper. I'm going to put the shield right on top of that pad, and we're going to solder that together. Now for the center conductor, let me give you a closer look of the solder joints. Antenna 1, antenna 2, that's antenna 3, and that's the new solder that I just made. And the driver, the input. Before we move on, let's test if there's any short. I just got a simple multimeter. Okay, so we're going to take the ground and we'll use this here, and we're going to test each center conductor, looking for any short. And also from the RG142. Okay, let me test the ground of the RG142. Very good, it works. And the ground here, the ground. One more thing I need to solder onto the antenna module. It's the RG316, the 6.5 inch, like a mini coax. So I'm going to solder it right here to the antenna module to power unit. That's what's labeled. So I just put some solder onto the pad. Now I'm going to take the shield portion. Actually, that is the center conductor. I need to put one at the shield to here. There's really not much room for me to navigate because I have this heat sink in the way. This is a 140 watt iron. I can burn my hand pretty fast. So let's see if I can do it right here. Okay, that's in. The center pin is connected. And we're going to test for shorts like we did earlier. Perfect. Step 6 says to install the antenna module board to the chassis, which is pretty much what I've already did, and I did all the soldering while it was still attached to the chassis. So I think my method was a little easier, and it was already set up. Step 7 is to install the antenna module board shield. So that should be easy. Let's do that now. Alright, this is step 7 again. So we have the shield. This is the antenna module shield, and I think it's going to go like that. So before I do that, I got to find this IDC ribbon cable and attach it. So this is the one that has 6, 2, 4, 6, 8. This has 8 pins, and there's a notch in the back. So that goes in here. But let me connect the fan, because I can loop this fan around. So I took the cable, the extra excess cable, I looped it around the fan outside the housing, and I'm going to insert it on the antenna module board where it says fan. Okay, that's in. Good. IDC ribbon cable. That's next. Nice and firm. It's inside. Let's move this out the way. I'm going to take off the standoff screws. Okay, so we're going to take the shield past the LPF coax through there. We're going to make sure that this coax is resting on the foam pad. We're going to pass this power unit coax through the hole, just like that, and work your way down. Line up the holes with the post. There you go. Everything is in position. And screw down the shield. I don't tighten it all the way down yet. I make sure that all the screws are in. And I tighten it down. Okay. That is step 7. This is what it looks like now. In this next step, for step 8, we're going to install the heatsink fans, and it's going to require to remove this fan, what do they call this here? A fan bracket. Because when you add the screws in, you'll have to screw from the back onto the fan itself. So how this is going to be oriented, remember there's arrows on the fan. You want, this is the front. This is the front of the amplifier. We want to push air through these fins, and it's going to escape out the back. Let's remove the fan brackets. These fan brackets are going to require like a hex. There's 3 of them. Okay, Let me find a key. It's one of these Allen heads. I said hex. I think this is it. I'm going on 4 hours, by the way. Taking my time. Making sure I'm doing it right, checking it. And what takes the longest is I'm also making a video for you guys to watch. Okay, how do I remove this bracket? Oh, there's one more. Okay, there is one more right here. Remember that came off? Well, I screwed it back on. Boom, that's it. The bracket's out. We're going to install the fans. Orientation of the airflow, pushing in that way. Okay, you're going to have to remove this bracket because see how flush that head socket is? That Phillips head? It's flush. So when you have this attached, there's no way for you to screw in the fan while the bracket's attached. That's why you have to remove it. Airflow again. If you're watching this video, trying to get some idea whether if you want to build this kit or buy the full ready to go flip the switch on amplifier, this is not really hard to do. Just be logical as you're putting it together. Think through it. I'm following the directions, but you saw that I did steps 1 through 5, I think. It was pretty straightforward. Where step 6 tells you to put it all together. Okay, so this is how it's going to be mounted, right? We're going to push air through those fins. So you have the arrows going, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you see the arrows? You're pushing air through the fins. Okay. Now we're going to put this back on. Yeah, putting this kit so far has been so easy, and it's actually fun. And you have bragging rights saying, hey, I built my amplifier from a kit. These are the last 3 fan bracket. And the last one is this one to do the final tight down. Nice and snug. That's step 8. Okay, this is step 9, the power unit coaxial input output soldering. We're going to take the RG316 from the antenna module and we're going to solder it onto this LDMOS where it says RFN. So there's the positive, the center conductor, and then the shields here. Also, we need to make sure the resistance between the ground pad and the center reads reads at 48 ohms, between 48 and 50 ohms. So this is what I'm going to do. I got the ohm meter there. That's the center, and this is the ground. 48.5 ohms. So that's good. That's the resistance. And now to solder this on. Continuing soldering with step 9. This is the loop cable they're asking for, and that's going to connect right here, the shield, and then the conductors in the middle. Okay, I'm going to add some solder to the iron. I think I need to add more on there. So I'm going to add more solder to the pad. We need to now make sure that there are no solder bridges between the center pin and the shield. Just do a visual inspection. Everything looks good there. There's a note in the manual that says, if you test with a meter, you will see continuity. This is normal. You must visually inspect that there are no solder bridges. Step 10, install the display. So we have the box of the display. There's also something in here that we don't want to lose, so I'll leave that there. Electrostatic, sensitivity to electrostatic discharge. Okay, you got the ESD strap back on. Here's the display. Okay. We have to remove this back plate and attach this to the display, and it's held by 2 bolts. I'll show you. Right there behind the 2 bolts. So we're going to remove those. Family's home. There you go. Okay, I close my eyes. Okay. Oh wow. You give me papas. You give me some potato chips. Nice. Thank you. Beso. Okay. Let me remove this one, baby. And then we're going somewhere, okay? We're gonna did mommy tell you where we're going? Park? Okay. Okay. That one's out. Okay. And the second one is out. Okay, I got the display here. I just noticed that they're missing a battery. I'm not sure if that needs one. So the connector is going to be to the left. That's where it is, left. Okay, Okay, I think I found the standoffs. They're right here. And it does say hardware display update guide. It shows you how to put the standoffs. So look at how the standoffs are. It's like a nut, standoff, a washer, and another standoff. It's a lock. I think it's a lock nut washer. Yeah, it's a lock nut washer. Lock nut washer. So we got this display going on. So we want the nut. Okay. Then we have the screen. Then we have the washer. And the other standoff. Just like that. That's only one. Okay, the standoffs are in. I didn't tighten the backs. I just put a finger tight so I can adjust the height, what's necessary. It's adjustable. Now to attach the display. The height can be adjusted from the back. Okay, so I put this over the lip so I can use the Allen head. I just put a finger tight for now. Okay, the manual did say to remove the protective covering over the display. So I removed it, reinstalled the display, and then I just attached the plastic protective covering back on top of it just to keep it from being scratched. All right, we're on step 11. This is to align the display. We're going to use the display cable. It's right here. I've already have it connected to the display adapter, and I have two wires connected to it. It is the red and black. That's all you need, red and black. Okay, you need to make sure that the red is connected to the positive side and the black is connected to the negative side. You will also need to use a micro SD. It's also called a cell phone charger. USB cable, but it's called a micro USB. That's what's going to be connected to here, and that's going to power up the display. So let me connect that now. Okay, it's in. And we want to make sure that these two bolts are loosened so the display can slide back and forth. It's time to calibrate the screen, so let's remove this protective covering. I'll put it on my Amazon show. Now I'm going to connect the 5-volt micro USB to the adapter for the display. That will provide power. There it is. That's what it looks like, the display. Now time for the alignment. I need to look for setup, display cal. That's the crosshairs, and if you look at the border, you can see it's brighter on certain sides and it's black on the bottom. That means it's a little bit too low, so we'll have to adjust that. I'm going to work with the left and right first. You see how it came from like this, come to the left, and now you can see both left and right. So that's good there. What I need to do now is to raise. And these four on the back of the display are for the vertical movement. Okay, I got the four nuts loose, therefore I can raise. You saw that I raised it a little bit. It was down further like this, so I raised it up. And we want equal distant lighting on all four sides. So let me tighten down the 4 bolts. Okay, once you exit, you want to test the touch screen, make sure it works. Setup, antenna configuration, exit. Oh, look at this. Setup, call sign. You can put your own call sign in there. November 4, Victor, Foxtrot, Romeo. Hours are. Press OK. There's my call sign in the upper right corner. So now if you want to sell this to someone, you can delete the call sign and they can do it without any kind of uploads or firmware updates to the display. Cool. I think that's done for, what step are we at? 11? That's step 11. Everything works, touchscreens, and it's calibrated. The low pass filter and 4 more standoff. These are the 30 millimeters standoffs. Okay, let's take a look at this low pass filter. Let's examine it, because this was packed on the inside, and let's make sure that the coils are not touching each other. So you want to examine the coils, make sure they're not bent as touching each other. Low pass filter. Very good. Alright, inspection is fine there. And I'm going to set that aside and let's install the standoffs. Alright, so I'm going to install the standoffs. Basically took them apart, okay, all 4. We'll use a shorter standoff and we're going to put it at the bottom of the amplifier case. All right. Okay, I got them all in and they are loose, because I want to be able to adjust them. There's 2 things that might interfere. This bolt here, we want to make sure that doesn't touch the LPF, or the low pass filter. And also down here next to the fan, we don't want this the low pass filter to actually touch the fan blades and rub against it, cause noise, and also it can fail your fan, your cooling system. Now it's time to install the low pass filter. Make sure you have your electrostatic discharge. I have my wrist strap on. We want to have equal distance front and back, and make sure it's not rubbing against the cooling fan, and make sure that the bottom left of the display nut doesn't touch the low pass filter. I'm going to put the top standoffs on because I want to have a way to tighten the low pass filter once I'm centered front and back. The fan and the nut's good. Now tighten it down. I'm going to move my amp just over the edge and tighten it down. Very tight clearance with the fan. I think I need to move it. There you go. I like the looks of that. We're making sure that this low pass filter is not touching the fan blades here. It's very close. You see that there's a very tight fit, and that bolt right down there from the display is not touching the low pass filter. This loop cable from the power unit, we're going to solder that to the low pass filter RF in right there, and then we're going to take this RG142, and that's coming from the antenna switchboard. Okay, the antenna board, and we're going to connect that to the RF out right there. And once that's done, we're going to remove those 4 screws and attach the low power filter shield. And then we'll be done with step 12 and 13. That's a weak connection. I'm going to resolder that. My iron is not coming up to temp. Okay, that's better. There we go. It's a weak connection. Let me take it apart. Okay, that's pretty stout now. Okay, it's nice and stout, both. Okay, all the connections here soldered. So I'm going to make room for the power supply that goes in here. So I'm going to pre-bend these to get it out of the way there. There we go. Now let's take off the screws for the standoffs and attach the low power filter cover. Okay, so that's done. That was step 13 of soldering the low pass filter RF in and RF out coaxes. Here's a note. We need to visually check for solder bridges. If you check continuity at the center and ground of the RF in and RF out, you will get short readings, a short, due to coupler coils being grounded, and the manual said that is normal. I have a correction. I installed the LPF shield a little too soon, because the next step is to install the front chassis switches, your power on, power off switches. So let me remove this and then we'll continue on. We're now going to install the front switches to the chassis. First thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this plug. Okay, you notice that there are two red marks. We need to keep those aligned, so all you do is pull them apart so they plug in into the socket. Okay, so we'll do one at a time, and then we want to remove the nut. And how I want to align this, I'm going to put the red marks on the top. Okay, we want it nice and loose so we can make room for the plug, just like that. Next we take the plug, align with the red marks. Okay, the red's on top. Okay, and I'm going to tighten it more down. So the cables are actually touching the toroids. Okay, the switch is on, and you just want to do this finger tight. They provide you with these mini tie wraps. You want to fold the cable back over the barrel to avoid touching the toroids, just like that, and then you just cut off the excess. Rinse and repeat for the second switch. There, that's step number 14, and step number 15 is to install the low pass filter shield. Now I can reinstall this shield. Step 15 is completed, installing the LPF shield. I spoke too soon. On step 15, we need to install these standoffs. These are the 50mm standoffs. I think that's it here. So we'll install that onto these holes. 1, 2, 3, and then the other one is down here, 4. And you know what? The only way to do that is to remove the LPF shield. So if you're watching this video and you can learn from my skip steps, because now I got to redo them. For step 15, install the standoff first before you put the shield, the LPF shield, back on. Alright, so the nut portion is going to be on the bottom of the shield. So I'm going to flip the shield upside down. These are actually 7mm standoffs. Okay. It's all 4 nuts are attached, and I'm going to tighten them down. This is a metric 5.5 5. There's a hole here on the LPF shield, and that's for the pass-through for the ribbon cable later on. Let me reinstall this LPF shield. Step 16, install the controller board. ESD strap is on. So we're going to install this and also install 2 of these, they call it thermal pads, and we have to remove the plastic protection and put those together, and this is going to be installed beneath LM7805. The thermal pads are located right here, and that's in relation to the actual hang on, I got a call. Okay, it's the wife calling me. Sorry, I interrupted. Yeah, so the thermal pads are going to be installed there. I'm going to do that now. There's 2 plastic films on the top and the bottom of these thermal pads. That's number 1, or the first one. Okay, this is number 2. Okay, so there it is. It's installed. I'm taking it that because there's a ribbon cables are being going through this hole here, on this hole, that the, hold on a second, there's 2 ribbon cable connectors here. It's called low pass filter antenna switch, and then there's one on this side. It's to the power unit, and here are the switches that we installed on the previous step. So I believe this is the right orientation because these 2 switches are going to the power switch and the operate switch. So I'm going to leave it like that. Makes sense. So let's remove these 2, actually 4 Phillips head, and install the main controller board. That completes step 16, installing the controller board. Step 17, installing the power supply. It's pretty heavy. So I orient the power supply where the connectors, the power cables, the green, white, and black wires are at the bottom. The green is the ground, and we're going to connect this at the bottom. Push hard and firm. The black wire, the hot, is going to go to the top left spade, and the white neutral is going to go to the top right side. Let me show you closer. So the green wire is going to connect at the very bottom, right there. And the upper spades, you can see the black is to the left and the white is to the right. Okay, now I'm going to attach the power supply inside the case. I'm going to move the RF cables out the way, and we're going to pass these DC power supply cable and these controlling cables on the inside of the power supply towards the inside of the case. We don't want any pinching. this is going to be a ground. There's a groove slot right here in this area, and that's where I'm going to pass those cables through. See right here. I'll make sure it doesn't get pinched, that it goes right in the middle of those. Yep, it fits. There you go. So I move the amplifier towards the edge of my desk, and I'm going to apply the top support bracket, the power supply, and there are some threads on the inner side of this bracket, so that's going to be on the top of the power supply unit. I'm going to take the two bolts, the long bolts, and I'm going to slide it from underneath and route it to the power supply bracket, just like that. See the bolt coming through the bracket? And I'm going to do it the same for this side. It's a little bit firm. There we go. Now I can finger twist it in. I made it loose so I can slide it back and forth if I need to. And on the right hand side, I'm going to connect this black wire, the ground, onto a post that's in there. I'm making sure that the DC power cable is not pinched, it's moving back and forth along with the other cable. I'm not sure what this is called, the one that's that looks like a speaker wire, and that it passes through the notch. So let's connect the power supply to the control board, and it only goes in one way, just like that. And next is we're going to solder the power supply ground cable to the ground post located right here. We just got the ground installed onto the grounding lug. The final step on step 17, installing the power supply, is to install the DC control power, or the DC power for the what do they call this? The control board. So looking on top here, that's fan 1, fan 2. This is to the power unit. Power supply, here's the on and off switch. And I think that's where it goes because it has the same connectors. It's a 2-pin connector. So that's where it goes. Just like that. And I'm going to route, let's see where, let me take this off. They say not to route anything through this loop, which I'm not, so I'm going to pass it. I'm going to go up and over. So I'm going to come up and over these fans and use the tie wraps to tie them together. So keep away from the coax loop right here. Step 18, it says to install all remaining connectors. Since I saw the fans up here, I'm going to go ahead and do that. We'll connect the fan. Okay, that's the fans. We have a ribbon cable right here. It's a 6-pin. I think I found it here, 6-pin. That's called a 3x2 ribbon ribbon cable from the controller to the power unit. So this is a power unit up here, and we're going to connect a cable just like that. Okay, good. There's a notch here, so I can go like this in that notch and then attach it there. Take note, when you're looking on one end, you see that there is a pin poking out. So I know that pin is going to go in that slot there that's blank. Let me see if there's a pin on this side. Nope, there is no pin on one end, so we need to make sure that you connect them in the right position. Okay, I'm going to connect this pin here. This is a 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 pin connection. There is a slot here, so that's going to mount here. It fits in. I knew I should have done this earlier before I plugged in, before I installed the power supply. Okay, one more push. Okay, it's in. And now this connector, low pass filter. Okay, that's good. Here's a ribbon cable from the antenna module. I want to stay away from the loop, and we'll put that right here. And now we're going to put the switches. Okay, the left side is the power on and off, so that goes to the switch power, and this one is the operate switch, and it's all labeled on the controller. There's a one cable here that I haven't connected. This is called the IIIS and I gotta figure out where I connect that. I know it goes here to the JP2. They said be very careful because it's very fragile and it can be damaged easily. So one end goes here, and I think it goes, we'll have to take a look at the power unit. So that IPXU cable, that one right there, the little tiny one, it's going to connect to the power module right there where it says frequency, and it's going to connect to the controller right there where it says JP2. So that's how it looks like. We're looking at it from the side. Okay. There. It went in. I felt it go in. These small little connectors. Okay, it's snapped into place. I know it's in properly because I felt it go in. That's it. That was number 18, step 18. So after that step, you run to a checklist, and we're going to go over that checklist right there. As it says, checklist connector 53 volt from the power supply unit. Yep. And that's right here. It's connected. Check. Number 2 here, 53 volt to the power unit. Nope, it's not connected. It's a good thing you have a checklist, huh? I'll put the ESD strap on because I'm going to be touching these. So it's not connected. I'm glad we run through a checklist. Give me some slack. There we go. Alright, so this is the cable from the power unit. I'm going to run it around 2 power amp. That's the proper place. It's in 53 volts. I don't have a pen here. Alright, 53 volts from the power supply unit. Yes, it's plugged in. 53 volts to the power unit. Yes, that's plugged in. Heatsink fan 1, heatsink fan 2. 1 and 2 is connected. Power unit IDC unidirectional. That's that black cable I just connected. Antenna module IDC. Antenna module IDC. Those are switches. PDU or power unit. Antenna module, that's it right there. Low pass filter IDC, that's this one right here. Display controller board, 4 wires, red, yellow, black, blue. No, that hasn't been connected. How do we do that? I'm pulling it to the top. Here they are. All these straggler wires. Alright, controller board, 4 wires. I like this because they have it labeled on what color wires go. Here, take a look. Let me turn the camera around. So, red top, yellow, blue, and black. And it's all color coded. Right there. It looks like purple, but it's blue. Let me connect those. Okay, so that was the display. Now the operate standby switches and the power switches. Yes, it's located right here. And the last one was the IPXU RF sampler FL. So yeah, that black one. It was this black one that's connected to here. So the question is, what's that power unit IDC, unidirectional? This is the one. 2 power unit, 1 directional. That's the one. So the checklist for all the connections are complete. That completes the installation of the Mercury 3S kit, because looking at step 19, it's called the first test. This is step 19, first test. So let me show you the setup of my testing. Alright, so this is the Sun SDR2. I'm going to turn it on. This is the LDG 1000. It's called AT1000 Pro 2. I turn it on. The antenna tuner, this will be my auto tuning, RF sensing. So this is how it works. The Sun SDR, the output cable, is this here. This is the output coax, and it's going to go to the RF in. And then the output of using antenna 1, this is the output, it's going to go to the input right here. That's going to be the input of the tuner. It's going to tune, and this is the output of the antenna tuner right there. That's going to go out to 0.5 27-foot antenna. And if you're curious what type of power I'm using, that is a 220 240, and it's connected to the amplifier, also a ground. All right, now let's turn on the amplifier. The power switch on the back of the Mercury is turned on. The power supply light is lit, illuminated, and turn on the Mercury 3 power source from the front. There's my call sign in the upper right corner. All right, cool. So when I'm using the Sun SDR, if I want to use the amplifier, I have the push to talk RCA connected to a DB15 plug that's connected to the Sun SDR2. It sends a transmit ground signal, so it allows the amplifier to turn on. So I go up here, I push PA, and I need to make sure I bring the power down. Let's go 5% on power and tune. I'm going to move the camera so you can see what it looks like when I transmit. We're tuning now. Forgot to turn on the operate. The operate button, now it's now lit. I like the cool blue look. Alright, so we're on automatic. Right now it's highlighted that it's on 6 meters. So this is RF sensing. We're at 5% power, let's tune now. I'm on the air, no power out. No power out on the Sun SDR. Because 5% power is too low. It's not like when you set your power to 5 watts, it's going to transmit 5 watts. It's kind of, they use percentage for this radio. I'm going to double it to say 10 watts. Alright, 10 watts. Current output power PEP is 6. We're at 20 watts. Tuning. 84 watts, 86 watts. RF SWR is 1.2. And if you notice on the Sun SDR, it's showing 0 power. Right. I remember digital modes. I think it's limited to 700 watts. So I don't want to push the limits. And the drive input is no more than 80. There's 30 watts, 256, 258 watts out. I'm getting RF into my speakers of my laptop. There's 35 watts, 425 watts on the output, 1.3 SWR. So it works on 20 meters. And if you notice down here, it also auto-sense that it is 20, it's set to 20 meters. All right, so it's an operate. Okay, I took it off of operate. You saw there, I took it off of operate. Turn off the PA. I'm going to 40 meters. 40 meters right here. Okay, let me take a listen. I'll let you listen as well. Okay, no one's on 40 at this frequency right now. And I'm going to tune without the antenna tuner. And if you see that it is currently on 20 meters on the Mercury 3, my LDG AT1000 Pro 2 will automatically tune. So I'm going to key up here. That's 36% power. I'll tune. There it is. It's done. SWR reading 1.0. It's done. So I'm going to operate. I need to bring down that. Let's try 25 watts. 25% power. I'm going to send a tone and take a look at the Mercury 3. Right now it's at 20 and it should go to the left to 40 meters as I key up. And check the output power. Let's turn on the PA first. PA's on and tune. 399, 401 watts output. SWR is 1.0. 399. Reflected power is 1. Wow, that's awesome. So it's working. I'm not going to test every band. I normally operate on either 20 or 40 and maybe occasionally 80, but not a whole lot because here at this location, I don't have the antenna for it, but at the other location, yeah. So 20 and 40 are my two areas I work on. And also on the other bands, I work FT8 from here remotely. So yeah, it's working. So now let's try to do a QSO. Let's see if we can make a radio contact. All right, guys, let's see if we can get a QSO. I told Mike to meet me up here on this frequency 7195 on 40 meters. I'm going to start out with, let's see, 30% power, 30% power. There we go, 30% power. The tuner's on operate. On the display here, you can actually see the output power and the SWR and also the reflected power. So speaker's coming on. All right, might be a little too loud. Let me bring it down a little bit. Is this frequency in use? And 4 VFR. Is this frequency in use? And 4 VFR.
You're sounding good here. What's different?
Roger, Roger, Mike. Yeah, hold on a second. I got an echo here. Let me turn this down. There you go. I got a little bit of RFI now. I'm doing 500 watts on the Mercury 3. Thanks for meeting me back here. You're my first contact on the Mercury 3S. I built it in about 2 days. That's because I had to document it. I was recording it and showing my soldering techniques and everything. And go ahead, Mike. N4 VFR.
Oh wow, sorry, I'm sounding great. You're a good here in Florida, and appreciate the first contact on your new piece there. And you're sounding great, man. I have a little static crashes, but you're coming right through them. So, how many watts are you running right now? Besides you?
Yeah, Roger. Stand by. I gotta turn my noise gate because your audio is coming through the mic PR40 microphone, so I kind of tighten it up. And let's try it now. Yeah, you're coming in. What is it? 5.7, 5.7, 5.8. But let me look at the S meter. You're readable. Go ahead, Mike. He's a S7 right there. KG2MM. This is N4 VFR. Yeah, your signal is a S7. S7. I'm pushing 500 watts. Looks like it's 509, and that's PEP. SWR is like a perfect match. Reflected power is either 1 watt or no power reflected. Over.
I know you're excited, and I'm excited for you. But, yeah. You don't sound like you're overmodulating. Perfect.
I'm sorry for not capturing the receive audio from Mike during this QSO. It started earlier when I was trying to receive the Sun SDR2 audio. I thought I was receiving it, but the software that I'm recording did not capture the audio. So I do apologize, and I hope you got the gist of the test. Just basically wanted to test the transmission of the Mercury 3S amplifier, and so far so good. After the QSO, we had a little long extended QSO, but everything was working fine, and he heard me with good audio and good signal. Okay, I just had a successful QSO, and now I'm going to take this apart. When I mean take it apart, disassemble it and set it up here on my shack next to the Sun SDR2. So what I'll do is I'll put the amplifier, the tuner on top, and then the radio Sun SDR2. It is now time to put the cover back on. Make sure nothing gets pinched. Alright, the final step is to replace the cover back onto the amplifier. to secure it. Let me do that now. We are done. The Mercury 3S amplifier from KM3KM Electronics. This is my first kit ever putting it together in ham radio, so it's pretty easy. Get your basic soldering, and you do need a good soldering iron, the gun trigger type, at least maybe 120 watts. I think mine was 140, but you need that fast heat so that you can transfer the solder and the wires, the coax, to the boards. But yeah, a person with experience can get this done maybe 5 hours, and if this is your first time, maybe it can take you up to 8 hours. It took me day one maybe about 5 hours, and then day two maybe also about 4 hours. That's because I'm recording, and also I had to take a breaks and take my daughter out for horseback riding lessons and so on. Hey, if you guys haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider to subscribe. It gives me motivation to make more videos for you. And I'm also busy in life with family and work and flying airplanes. So my name is Captain Darren, if you haven't heard me before. My call sign is N4VFR. Please leave me a comment. Give me a like, a thumbs up. It helps the YouTube algorithm to put my videos up on top so I get more views. I appreciate any tips that you can donate to me. It's in the description below. Buy me a cup of coffee. Definitely gonna need it when I go to work tomorrow. Have a great day. 73s y'all. Until next video, be safe.